And we're going to have that conversation this hour with Cyprian Nyamwamu, and he'll join us in just a bit. But imagine biting into your favorite foods again without the fear of the pain. So that stone cold ice cream or that super hot coffee, just the way you like it. You don't have to imagine it anymore, because Sensodyne is here to give you the ultimate relief from tooth sensitivity. And how do we know this? Because it's the #1 recommended brand by dentists. And with World Oral Health Day coming up, we are reminding you that a happy mouth is a happy mind. And to get this, Sensodyne is giving you 50% off selected products to keep your teeth strong. Grab your pack from any Carrefour, Naivas, Chandarana or Quickmart stores from the 20th to the 23rd of March. Sensodyne for tooth sensitivity, relief and everyday oral health. Something for you to remember, and that you can lean into that ice cream whenever you need to have it. Sensodyne is sorting you out from day to day. And we're getting into a conversation this hour, much needed one, I would say. There are very many things happening around the country. There are very many perceptions there's a lot of perception that's been held, and quite a number of folks who are, saying, where are we? And perhaps never a bad idea to be able to get a compass and point it in a direction that's going to, help folks out. And those are some of the things that we do in the Situation Room every morning. And we're getting into a conversation with Cyprian Nyamwamu, like I told you, and he's here with us in the hot seat. And even as we continue with those conversations, we're going to be saying, dear Mr. President, and a number of things that have come up as a result of that. Okay, and Cyprian is here with us this morning. Cyprian Nyamwamu, good morning.
Good morning, Du.
How are you doing?
Very, very, very well. We are thankful that we are alive and we are still moving on. We are on our feet.
Indeed.
Yes.
At some level.
At all levels.
At all levels.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Karibu Sana, it's always a fresh moment to have you here.
Thank you.
And even as we welcome you to today's show, CT has proverbs from Sudan, the Republic. Is it the People's Republic?
No,
it's just the Republic. It's the Republic of Sudan.
Of the Sudan.
Of the Sudan. He'll let us know what the proverb is, and of course, you will give us your interpretation of the same.
Is it related to Janjaweed in any way? I hope not.
Let him tell us. Is it?
Well, the thematic path that I have followed in the last few weeks has been looking at the regions of this continent that we refer to as the Coup Belt. And what it is that has given them the infamy. And we looked, it is tragic that many of the countries on this continent that are constantly at internal war with themselves are also very well-to-do countries. They are rich. They have minerals. They have resources. So it begs the question, what's the conflict about? You look at DRC, you're looking at Rwanda, you're looking at Sudan. Most people don't even know that the third largest producer of gold on the continent is actually Sudan. They don't even know that Sudan has gold. They have copper, they have iron ore, they have industrial minerals. I mean, it's a wealthy country. But when there's turmoil, such as the one we now see, where you have southern Sudan housing or accommodating over 1 million refugees, this isn't a good thing. And some of it trickled down into Kenya. Okay. Now, we are not specifically special so that we are not beyond such problems. And such problems are created. And usually what creates them? Internal strife and a situation where economically the people are suffering. Sudan has had a total of 7 coups since it got independence in 1958. The proverb. If your relatives are dogs, make a tail for yourself. Tail here is T-A-I-L. But then again, if you did make a tail for yourself and you're a human being, it would then form a tail, T-A-L-E, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Otherwise, they will eat you. I mean, that's exactly what is happening here in Kenya, because if your society becomes corrupt and you try to behave differently, which is not to have a tail, then you are going to find yourself in trouble, because they will turn around and consume you and argue that, you know, you didn't look like one of them. So that is what I think the proverb is telling us, that be careful what society is becoming, because if you do not conform, then there's going to be a price to pay. There
it is. If you don't,
and the price is being paid every day, even here in Kenya, by those who do not conform to what the party bosses, to the president, to government says. And there's a price to pay. Yesterday, I even heard a PS saying that he's going to close down private hospitals. You know, you ask yourself, do you know Article 40 of the Constitution about private property? So it is about, if you do not conform, there is a price you are going to pay if the lawmakers and the people in power are corrupt, are people who do not uphold the Constitution. I would imagine.
Okay. And every now and then we have a segment where we talk about, we speak to the president, called Dear Mr. President. And as we start this conversation this morning, Cyprian, there are many things, those who coined the language will say that there are many balls in the air at the moment. And it would appear as though it's very difficult to land things. There is a lot of criticism in the air. There's speculation which is rife. There is uncertainty amongst many in many different quarters. And there are those who say, well, give those in positions of leadership a chance to then be able to show that they're worth their mettle and that they can do what they said that they would do. So let's start from that point. That we've complained a lot about so many things, community, society, across country. Should we be giving the leadership an opportunity to prove that they can actually run the nation and run it well?
Thank you very much, Indu. The people in power are illegitimate. That is the crisis that we have. And we need to resolve. And if you look at the newspaper headlines today, they are saying fooling the country. Because the president and the Honorable Raila Odinga think that they can fool the people. And yet themselves, the president, said that wajinga wameisha Kenya. And yet, Honorable Raila Odinga, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, said Ruto must go because he didn't win the election. And so the question before them, first of all, before I continue, I want to say this, that Ruto's enemy is Raila. And Raila's enemy is actually Ruto. But they are trying to fool themselves that we can't see. And we are reporting to them that, Mr. President, prepare to meet the people, because the people of Kenya said last year that you can't kill us and lead us. That is when they withdrew the permission for the president to govern. And so, therefore, my response to the question whether they should be given more time, to do what? To destroy the country further? You spoke about the balls in the air. There are 5 balls in the air. The first one is an economic ball, which is what led to the Gen Z revolution last year. That ball, the president does not have a formula for dealing with it. The second ball is a political ball. It's called the legitimacy ball. The president has lost the social license. The approval rating for the president is 19%. That is the lowest anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world, 19%. That's the lowest anywhere in the world. So the president is running on empty, and he knows it. Everywhere he goes, he's being told he must go. He's being cheered out. He's being shouted down. He's actually arguing with little children in marketplaces who are telling him go, and he's telling them keep quiet. The president doesn't have the social license to operate. That is the political crisis that the country is faced with. And what has he done? He has turned on institutions to intimidate the institutions so that they can look us on the other side as he misgoverns and malgoverns the country. The third ball is a social ball. The healthcare crisis, the education crisis, the agriculture crisis. And this goes on and on. And the president does not have an answer. Why? Because he's the one who actually came in as with this administration and destroyed the framework that was working. Instead of improving on it, he destroyed all the frameworks that were there for education, for healthcare, etc. The fourth crisis we have as a country is one of cohesion. Is a one of cohesion because the president has done all the ukabila, the ethnic appointments, and now he has brought in the broad-based government to try and address that problem. It's only getting worse because that is what was holding the country together as the glue. So the last crisis that we have right now is the demographic crisis. You have a generation where nearly 68% of the youth below the age of 25 are unemployed. 68% is a massive population.
Absolutely.
So these young people with degrees, with diplomas, with ICT, access to AI, access to smartphones, access to all this, and they are sitting in their mothers' and fathers' houses. They don't even have food. They don't even have money. So they are suffering from mental health illnesses, and they are involved in a lot of challenges. How do you deal with this population which is saying, we can't allow you to continue when you do not have a single answer to these five balls that are in the air? The massive unemployment, the political crisis, the economic crisis, the social crisis. The president has even lost the church, which was his pillar, his main pillar of political leadership. So now he has lost that. So he doesn't have anything. Even the ethnic arrangement that he had, he has lost the mountain. So the president is simply, running on empty. And he is not accepting that. So we've gotten to a place where complaining is no longer the way to do it. So to Mr. President, we are saying prepare for a referendum in July this year so that the people of Kenya decide whether you are going to continue to govern or they are going to get a transitional government to lead us for the next 2 years until 2027. Because that is what, and that's why I carried my constitution, that is what Article 1 provides us. That the people can exercise the power through directly or indirectly through elected representatives.
Yes.
Elected representatives in parliament do not represent the people of Kenya anymore. So what are we going to do? We are going to have to rely on ourselves so that we exercise the Article 1 power and form a government through a referendum which will lead the country until 2027 August.
Now, Cyprian, as we have this conversation, there is the aspect of Kenyans went and voted for this government to be in office.
Correct.
And that was based off the promises that they gave to Kenyans, 200 and something. So the other day, only 14% of that has been achieved. But here then we are, the government coming around, teaming up with the opposition, which begs the question, at what point did the government ever imagine that those who opposed their policies would be the ones to come save the day?
You ask a very important question, and that is why some of my friends, including Tata, yesterday was saying something that we have been discussing with behind the closed doors, that actually this government is so illegitimate, they do not even know the basis of while they are in power. Because the vote that they got in 2022 has been withdrawn by the people of Kenya. And you saw it last year. So from last year, the president does not know what is putting him in office. Maybe it's the police, maybe it's I don't know.
No.
And the only second thing that is keeping him in office is that ODM has contributed MPs for him in parliament. And that's where they have been accommodated. So this is a private arrangement for a public governance. That is the crisis of legitimacy that I spoke about. Because what is the basis upon which Raila and Ruto's government is going to stand? What is the basis of that governance if we are still operating within the constitution and the vote that you received has been withdrawn? Can men in a private room say that, they have rejected us, let us now broaden this thing and get CT and get somebody else, and now we come out and say, oh, look, we are now ready to govern you better.
All inclusive.
Or inclusive.
But Cyprian, consider.
Have we given you the mandate? You must seek the mandate.
Cyprian, consider. There is, if I may add to what you've said, something called the tyranny of habit.
The tyranny of habit.
If a citizenry are accustomed to treating the leaders in a certain way, what then happens is they probably don't even notice that they're being taken advantage of, or the goodwill is being taken advantage of. You ask the question, who is it that is giving this particular government legitimacy? It is the citizenry.
Not at all.
You see, if you consider when people talk to you politely and tell you, we would like this changed, they are telling you what they would like. Now, how do you interpret that? The actions you speak of amounts to an interpretation of what it is that the citizenry have said, okay? And the interpretation, the citizenry are not fed up, they're just telling us they want change. Now, if you're asked to change, you will change within the gambit of what it is you understand to be change. You will do what you've done before, you'll do what you think ought to bring about the change that is required. Now that's where now listening comes in, because what you think is what is required, the citizen will be telling you, no, that's actually not what we want.
The 3 C's, as we call them in change management, there are 3 factors that drive change. Change happens when there's crisis. Crisis is one of the biggest drivers of change. The second driver of change is called chance. The third factor or force of change is called choice. Now, CT is right. So Honorable Raila, for example, has been doing these handshakes from time to time. That's the tyranny of habit.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time. Is that handshake acceptable this time round? The answer is no. How do you know that? Raila Odinga, for example, got 70% of the vote in Kisii. You've gone there, you've seen they are saying, Raila must go, Baba must go. What is that telling him? It is telling him that his latest moves are no longer approved by the people who voted for him. So they have actually withdrawn. They are asking him, you are going to Ruto and signing memorandums of understanding to form government with him based on what? We don't support that memorandum. And
Or
that is
endorse you for that matter.
That is what we want to take to the referendum. If Raila and Ruto believe, that's the crisis I'm talking about. There are 3 ways change is brought. Change is brought by crisis, it is brought by choice, it is brought by chance. They want to use chance to create another handshake. And the people are saying, no, we are not going to accept that. So we are saying in July this year, IBC is coming into place in April. We are going to go to the referendum and we'll be asking the people of Kenya, do you want the broad-based government to govern you until the end of the term? Do their policies the continuation of SHA and the education funding model and the unemployment and the high taxes, and we call them the 6 pain points, are they ready to allow these people, if they say no, if the people of Kenya say we don't want them to continue, then we are going to form a transitional government to carry the country until the end of the term.
It sounds like so bread and butter, the way you say it.
It is there. It's there in the Constitution.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but also coming from a place whereby, you know, for a lot of times the Constitution and what it says, to many is a suggestion that there's a book and you're going to put it off. There's a book of, you know, rules.
You refer to it, it suits
every
your
now and
purpose.
then,
Yeah.
you know, but the rest is going to be gathering dust on the shelf. Right? As opposed to looking at as the supreme law. So when I hear you say these things, Cyprian, I hear you saying like, okay, well, all we're waiting for is an IBC to come into place in April. We're going to give them a minute to get accustomed to the seat. And then we're going to come in July. And then we're going to have a referendum. And that folks who are sitting in power are going to acquiesce to the results of the referendum. And then we're going to keep it moving. You make it sound like it's just...
Cyprian, how do you walk towards the referendum?
It's very simple. By the way, the reason you'll see me speaking about things about Kenya is because I was there. I was part of the making of this constitution.
Yes, you were.
And unfortunately, Ruto was on the other side, opposing it. So he actually did not understand what we were passing. And then he was given the chance.
So what was he opposing if he didn't understand it?
No. He was doing politics. He was not doing the Grund norm. We were doing the Grund norm. He was doing politics. All right? I can tell you some of the things that he told me from that period, because we were very close friends on the north side in 2005. So what I'm saying is that when you see the president standing on top of those cars, that is a very worried man. But you know, he has to project a face of a great confidence that things are now starting to move. No. The truth of the matter, when it comes to how this constitution works, is that anybody who tries to go against this constitution is going to hurt themselves. They will have to break down and submit to this constitution. That's why when Lou spoke about the balls in the air and the crisis that we find ourselves in, there's going to be a serious fight back. There's going to be these guys who are in power and who are being accommodated are not going to say, oh yes, let's go to the referendum and then we are ready to go. No, they are going to fight. And we are telling them, come out and fight for your lives. Be on the side of the referendum which is saying, let us continue. And let the people of Kenya decide in their ballot. So it's not going to be a walk in the park, but we are made of the material and stuff that has withstood Moi, that has withstood Kibaki and his high-level blunders, that has stood Uhuru and his misadventure. And we are going to live up to, already we have seen what Ruto is made of. So we are ready. And this is how countries, by the way, are fashioned. This is how countries are built. Countries are not built in some cloudy, dark place without... no. This is a real work of nation building. This is what we call nation building. This is when people are starting to understand what the Constitution actually says. Like that gentleman who the PS for Minister of Health is going to now know what Article 40 of the Constitution says. He doesn't know. I'm sure he does not know.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be making such pronouncements.
Otherwise, he would not be making those kinds of pronunciations. So when he makes those kinds of pronouncements is when we actually tell him that, gentlemen, you were not there when we were making the Constitution. Please go to the internet and refer to Article 40 of the Constitution. And then he realizes that it is folly. All that he has been doing is folly. So this is an address to the president. So, Mr. President, your enemy is actually the Honorable Raila and ODM.
And vice versa.
Let's take a break.
And the Honorable Raila's enemy is not the people of Kenya. It is William Ruto. It is William Ruto who decampaigned him at the Africa Union and he has brought him back home so that he can try to use him. And Raila is going along with that. Who is going to suffer? It is Raila. So his enemy, he should not look very far. His enemy is actually in the same room with him, is in the signing of the MOU.
Wow.
Yeah. He's setting him up. He's setting him up against the people of Kenya. And they are going to have a day on the ballot to actually see what the people of Kenya say about that unholy marriage.
Looking into conversations as we come to have them in a few minutes, is that, do you think that the people of Kenya actually want the president to succeed at this work that he's been given to do by them? Do they want him to do to do better? Do they want him to actually say, you know what, okay, things seem to be falling apart, we want you to put together Humpty Dumpty again, essentially? And we'll come back and look at that question when we come back from this break. Cyprian Nyamwamu is the executive director of Future Kenya Foundation, and we're having a conversation, dear Mr. President, this morning about the things that we see happening in the country. And we'll come back and also ask the question, Cyprian, all right, are there those who then can be in a position for proper leadership if we're saying that this current one isn't working? 27 minutes to 8. We'll be back after this.
On today,
Director of the Future Nation, and having this conversation about where we are today and speaking to the president, I would ask the question, Cyprian. Well, first of all, coming from the place that it's been said, I mean, many have written a book when we talk about looking at things like the foundations of international relations, when we look at the foundations of nations and how they've actually been built. Governments had a core responsibility to make sure that their people are taken care of, that the people are fed, that the infrastructure that's needed for then to survive is provided, that their children are educated, that the sick are cared for, and that many a scholar have said that governments have no business doing anything else apart from those things. If you have not taken care of those fundamentals for your people, of course, securing your borders and things like that, you have no business doing anything else.
Exactly.
And if we take that into consideration, do you think then that Kenyans want President Ruto to do better? If he did, if his generals, if the people whom he's appointed to sit over these different sectors are actually getting it right, would you have the kind of furor that we see in the country today?
Well, that's a very important question. And I want to say an important response to that question. The people of Kenya are very... We pride ourselves as to be the number one democracy on the continent. South Africa could be having a good constitution like ours, but they do not have what we call the liberation credentials that we have.
What is that?
We are a Mau Mau. We are a Mau Mau. We are a Mau Mau nation. So let me tell you one. So we know when something is right from the beginning. President Mwai Kibaki came in 2003 January. He had just survived an accident. But what he did was to move in the right direction. Before you ask about speed and things, we ask about direction. Has he taken the right direction? Because if you are going to, your journey is to Bungoma, and then we find you somewhere near Emali, and you are telling us that, give us a little bit more time. No, we have to stop you because you have been moving in the wrong direction for the last 2.5 years. So we are at a place where we are saying you took the wrong direction. And so asking for more time to move further in the wrong direction, we will never go to Bungoma.
Okay, but what if I am at Imali and I've said I want to turn around and I want to go back to Bungoma? And this is what we're saying. If the people see that you're making every effort to turn around, if they see that you're going around, then did we say, fine, you're going to stay in the driver's seat and keep going at the thing?
The president is getting it wrong even more. With every working day, I don't know whether you've been observing that.
Essentially, what you're saying is the president now is in Mtito and Day.
Is actually added to Mtito and Day because on SHA and healthcare, He is not listening to the people of Kenya and what they are saying about the healthcare. On education, he is not even sending capitation to schools. On the CBC, you can see the floundering that is happening. I saw a letter, memorandum from the Institute of Engineers of Kenya yesterday. The president does not listen to the people of Kenya. On the budget, you saw last year on the finance bill that 93% of Kenyans said the finance bill is wrong for the economy because we are dealing with a post-COVID recovery. This finance bill is going to worsen our situation. So don't pass it. What did they say? Wacha nione mwenye hatapitisha. That's what the president said. And so the MPs went to parliament and gave him what he wanted and not what the people of Kenya wanted. So let me say this. The problem with the president is that he lost trust. The Kenyans don't trust him. They actually don't believe that he's sincere. They don't believe that he's truthful. They even don't believe that he's committed to this country. Because once you've lost trust, which is in Article 75 of the Constitution, if you run your affairs and bring dishonor to the office and you lose the trust to govern, then you have actually lost your social license to operate. And that is what the president is suffering from. When the young people of this country, who are 70%, tell you that you cannot kill us and lead us. So who is this who's asking the president to continue? They have said Ruto must go. That is what I see in all rallies. He speaks when he was going around Nairobi. He says something, they say, Uongo, Uongo, Uongo. They are saying you are a liar. But it's not the youth who say that he's a liar. It's the bishops. In October 14th last year, they are the ones who said, you lie. We no longer can trust anything that you say. So let me ask you, which sector of the 8 sectors in this country any longer believes that President Ruto is saying the truth, they can trust him, and they can allow him to continue to lead? That is the question before the country. And how do you resolve when you come to those kinds of junctions in history? You use the Constitution. You do not go out of the Constitution. You go back to the Constitution and you present a simple referendum. And the people exercise their power directly because MPs in Parliament no longer represent the people. They do everything the people say don't do, they do. Everything the people say, tell them, do this, they don't do. They instead do what the president has ordered them to do. So we've lost Parliament. And so we are at a place where we have to rescue the soul of our nation. We have to rescue the foundation of our democracy. And the way to restore the foundation of our democracy is not to continue with this charade of MOUs and handshakes and whatnot. You go back to the people and you exercise Article 1 and put a referendum out there in the people and say, these are the 6 pain points. The leadership that we have can no longer address these issues. Do you want a transitional government to take us to 2027? And who are those people who can be in the transitional government? And then ensure and make it very clear that the people who are going to be in the transitional government will not be on the ballot in 2027. You make it very clear.
Cyprian, walk us through this process of the referendum.
Yes.
How we've had one. What are the steps that lead to a referendum being instituted? And how is a referendum instituted?
A referendum is instituted according to Article 257 of the Constitution. And this is a popular initiative. And so you collect 1 million signatures. And once you collect 1 million signatures, you IBC forwards the constitutional amendment, the one that is going to be taken to the referendum. You take it to the county assemblies.
Oh, so they I'm sorry, they have to.
Yeah.
If a million
It's a
signatures
popular
are
initiative.
presented to the IEBC,
Yes.
they have no choice but to take it.
No, they don't
to
have
take
a
it forward.
choice.
Okay.
These are our servants.
All right.
Yeah, so you can't stop the exercise of sovereign power. It is not possible. Yeah, you can't overthrow the constitution and stay in office. What will you be governing? What will you be the basis of your governance? So once you collect the signatures, IBC forwards the bill to the county assemblies, and the county assemblies, 24 of them have to approve. And once they approve, you get 50% of parliament, and you do the referendum. And once you do the referendum, what I have seen in the ideas that are being proposed is that you convene a sovereign people's convention, which elects the transitional government for 2 years.
Okay. Who would this government be? Who would make up this government? Who is this person that Kenyans would say, all right, step in now until you sort it out? Or do you set up an ad hoc committee to run things for the next 2 years?
No.
What do you do?
You have to get a transitional president and a transitional deputy president. They have to constitute a cabinet properly. And the only thing that we are saying about the transitional people is that they cannot be eligible to run for office in 2027. Why? Because then they will go again back to the same conflict of interest problem that we are trying to run away from.
But how do you get this transitional president and all this entire transition?
Part of the bill is providing for the convening of a sovereign people's convention. That is what Article 1 means. That then you have to provide for the convening of a sovereign people's convention. People from all the 47 counties have to sit. Elected women, youth, farmers, livestock producers, etc., business people, private sector, religious, they all come to a sovereign people's convention. And that sovereign people's convention is established according to Article 1. That is how you exercise sovereign people's power. And once they meet, then they elect the transitional president. And that transitional president is told, Madam or Sir, you will only serve for 2 years. And this is the mandate of the transitional government. It has to address the 6 pain points that the people are suffering today. This is what the people are the ones who are telling the transitional government. This is what we want about healthcare. This is what we want about education. This is what we want about tax. This is what we want about the economy and creating employment. This is what we want about regional integration and foreign policy. The people guide the transitional government for the 2 years until we get to 2027, and then an election is conducted on the Tuesday of August 2027. And all these people, including William Ruto, can offer himself in 2027. Yeah, even Raila, all of them, they are free to offer themselves in 2027. What we are saying is that the country has collapsed, has failed. The government has so fundamentally failed because of the corruption, the wastage, the abductions, the taxes, and so on and so forth. We have ground to a halt. So let us rescue ourselves, get a transitional authority, a transitional government, a transitional president, fix our problems, and prepare for elections. We don't even know whether we have a voter register. We have to sort out a lot of things with somebody who does not have an interest in 2027. That is what we are saying. We must be taken to 2027 by a government that does not have an interest in running for office in 2027. That is the bottom line. That's the underlying philosophy of transitional arrangements.
You know, we've never had such a thing on this continent.
No, in the continent we have had so many
of what you've just said.
Of transitional governments.
But have they been civilian?
Yes, they have been civilian.
Like which one?
Benin. Actually, the whole idea of a sovereign people's convention is a French idea that has now been adopted very widely in many other arrangements. So Benin is the one which started in 1991. Guinea had it in the following year, I think, and we've seen it being practiced. Even when you've seen in Kenya, we have had a crisis. What we normally do is that we come together and we agree on some kind of government. Even in Zimbabwe, even in Ivory Coast. So this is nothing that is foreign. We have already practiced bombers in 2004. And so it is something that is so part of democratic practice, and we are only providing for it for purposes of stopping the decline and the crisis that the country finds itself in. Where you have a president who lacks legitimacy and is going everywhere where he's being told, Wongo must go, Wongo must go. He's trying to get somebody to donate legitimacy to him, which he does not have. So how do you get yourself out of the hole? You stop digging.
Yet, as we talk about this entire process of getting to a referendum, one of the key aspects of it is we need half of Parliament for it to pass.
Yeah.
Right. And as we sit right now, we know what is happening in the National Assembly. It's pretty much has been taken over. So at that particular point, the entire conversation about referendum would depend on what the members of Parliament would do, if at all they are with the people. But that notwithstanding as well, if you look at the presence of IEBC, it is not in place. So a lot of hurdles for us to get to a point where you say we have a referendum and it will follow through the processes as enshrined in the Constitution. But that notwithstanding as well, you're talking about a president that does not listen, but question is, can he regain trust and do right by the people? And when he does that, will all this noise just shut down?
I don't know where your faith comes from. I know we are in the Jubilee year.
One's gotta be optimistic.
No, I don't know where you get this from, because as I told you, you have to listen to the people, for you to know, and you have to listen to the president, whether there is change in behavior or whether there's something. The president comes and says, we've stopped all public officers and state officers from doing Harambes in charge. What's the date? 29th of July. It's there. That is policy. That is state policy. It has come from the president himself. Then the president comes and says, those who are opposed to us giving money are actually agents of the devil. Here is 20 million. We are going to give you 100 million more. So this president does not even believe his own policy. Even the policy that he himself makes, he doesn't follow it. Leave alone what the Constitution says. Leave alone what the institutions of this country offers. So President Ruto, as I told you, has completely lost trust to govern. And the social license to operate has been withdrawn. That is why everywhere he goes, you've seen the consistent thing that is the feedback from the people. So who are these people you are talking about? I don't know who you are talking about. The people of Kenya have said, we are tired with this kind of administration. You can't kill us. You can't steal from us, because you have to go back to the people and ask what. And that's the work I do. That's what we do at the Future of Kenya Foundation. That's what we do at Kenya Bora Twitakayo. We go around the country in the 47 counties and get the people's perspectives. When I tell you that 83% of Kenyans are saying the country is headed in the wrong direction, and the question we ask them there, who is responsible for this country going in the wrong direction? 69% of them say it is the president. Who is leading the country in the wrong direction? That's why 83% of us believe we are headed in the wrong direction. So it's the people of Kenya who are saying this. So it is now time for the people of Kenya to exercise their constitutional sovereign power and resolve the crisis that we are in, so that we can get an agent who governs according to the Constitution. It is as simple as that.
There's some people who argue, and I mean, just think about any position that you've been given something to do. You don't have the choice to sit around and say, well, I'm going to do my bare minimum, or I'm going to, mess things up monumentally as much as I can and expect to remain in that position.
No, you can't.
But what usually happens is that they're going to give you an opportunity to set yourself right. I keep forgetting what that thing is. It's called what? PIP. So you're given, thank you.
PIP.
Yes, you're given an opportunity to fix it. Usually it's 3 months. Somebody will give you 6 months to kind of work it out, and they say no, you don't. And I'm of the opinion that leaving usually is an easy escape route. That you cock things up monumentally, and then somebody says, okay, that's fine, you can just take a walk. And so that's why, to an extent, I don't agree with the Ruto must go, because it's an easy escape for you to say that.
No, he's
if
not
you've
going.
If you've not been
He's
able
not going. He's
to
not
get
going.
your generals in
He's
place,
going to be held accountable for everything that he has
and
done.
this is what I'm saying, that you should actually do the work. You should make sure, and because of the fact that you're in a position of authority, that you give people under you that authority, it then cascades. Whether you have cabinet secretaries, whether you have principal secretaries, whether you have governors, whether you have members of parliament, that you cascade that authority through these individuals.
Let
so
the people
them
of
not
Kenya,
working,
let
them
the
not
people
working.
wait for the referendum and
I hear
say
what you're
we
saying.
want Ruto to continue for the next 2 years.
Cyprian, that not working is a direct reflection on the individual who has appointed these people. And I'm not talking about elected positions as members of parliament.
No,
because
the appointed
the
positions.
appointed positions are the areas where we see the problems today. Now, some of those issues have been inherited. The education crisis did not start in this administration. Many would argue that the health crisis, although we have a big symptom in Shah, did not begin with this administration. That we have seen administration after administration fail the people, but it would appear as though right now is when Kenyans are most, borrowing a phrase, woke, and are saying, we're not going to allow this anymore on our watch. So, don't go means sit here and sort this thing out, or never dream of being in this position again. But when are we going to stop saying that an easy exit or an exit is then an easy way to get rid of this responsibility? And that's why I'm saying that you're given a position, you're given a job, you must be held accountable for that thing that you've been given to do. Are we wrong on that?
No, a lot of people get jailed when they actually violate the trust. You ran on a promise. You promised. The reason President Ruto knew all these issues are there, and he published a manifesto, very big manifesto. I don't know whether you get time to go through it. I do that every 3 months. It's part of the work that I do, to go through the UDA manifesto and see what the president said he was going to do across all the 23 areas that is in the manifesto. And the promise, he has not kept the promise. So 1 year came and they said, we are going to do better. And we saw that in every of those areas, he had taken the wrong direction. Not even what he promised. What he promised, he went against it. We are going to lower taxes, he increased taxes. We are going to do this about healthcare, he went against it. About education, he went against it. So you cannot not keep your promise and then say, let us give him a chance to do what? To continue breaking the promise?
Cyprian, there's something that you mentioned regarding change in the laws of change, something called chance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dennis asked a question. What if? What if plays heavily on chance? And in politics, we've seen it. At the time when President Moi was about to exit, it was a period when many presidents on this continent extended their terms. Even when they knew this is what the Constitution said, they even changed the Constitution. Okay? Many did not believe that the President Moi would leave. He left. Many people did not even believe that President Moi would accept the multi-party government. He did. Role of chance. One could give many examples. Our lived experience is exactly as you said. But if we bring in a discussion of chance, there's always that chance.
Silver lining.
Yes, that the president may actually decide to do the very thing we say he cannot do and change.
Yeah, the chance for President Ruto was last year, July, after the Jarizi. They gave him a chance. Kenyans gave him a chance. They said, sack this cabinet. These people are incompetent. Get them off and get us a new cabinet. This is your chance. At 2 years, this is your chance to to start afresh, what did he do? He lost the opportunity to re-engineer, to relaunch his presidency. You know why? Because you cannot fight a system that you benefit from. The corruption that is going on, the stealing, the looting, the privatization that has been going on is the reason why President Ruto is incapable. And I want to conclude by saying the following, which is we are in the Lenten period here in Kenya. You know, the Bible says that you cannot, a good tree cannot produce bad fruit. And a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. That is in Matthew chapter 7 and verse 18.
Sir Bishop.
Yeah.
The reason this is so important is because we behave like we do not know the track records of our people. There is a track record for everybody. This track record is very public. I am going to run for the Nairobi governorship in 2027. There is my track record. It is very public. There is also President William Ruto's track record from 1992 when he was in YK 92.
Yeah.
That track record has spanned 33 years. What does it say? What is Raila Odinga's track record? What are our track records? What are the people's track records? This is what when you say is going to change, the 33 years don't say that.
A lot of stuff to take into consideration, many things to think about, emotions aside. Cyprian, we want to thank you for being here this morning. Cyprian Nyamwamu is the Executive Director at Kenya Forward Foundation, Future Kenya Foundation, rather, and we've been talking about a lot of things this morning and looking at what direction the country is actually taking. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. It's 8:08.